everybody, my name is Sam Bucciarelli. I am a trail ambassador with Friends of the Wissahickon, and I'm one of the organizers of the City Nature Challenge, which is happening this weekend, April 30th through May 3rd, wherever you are in Philadelphia, Bucks, Montgomery, and Delaware counties, also Camden, Gloucester, and Burlington counties in New Jersey. So I hope you guys all come out to participate. The point of the City Nature Challenge is that we use the app iNaturalist to take pictures of anything around you that is alive or was alive, like plants, insects, animals, fungi, all the things that you're seeing around you in a forest or in a meadow, outside, anywhere. I want you to put it on iNaturalist this weekend. Specifically, I'm hoping that you guys will put up some trees on iNaturalist. And I want to tell you guys a little bit about why it's important to put up trees. So trees are one of the things that's around in our forest all year long, and yet there are very few observations of them on iNaturalist. But trees are pretty much the determining factor of an ecosystem type. So when you add observations of trees to iNaturalist, it helps people like me who do work organizing guided hikes and conservation work to find the ecosystems that they're looking for, so that they might target a specific species to find for conservation, or to organize a hike where you might find a specific species. Lots of trees have very specific associates. Certain birds will only associate with certain trees, certain fungi will only associate with certain trees. Insects are the same way. You might find a caterpillar that only eats the leaves of birch trees, things like that. So finding the trees in an ecosystem is very important. I want to teach you guys a little bit about how to identify trees for iNaturalist today. So let's start by talking about this beautiful hemlock over here. This is the eastern hemlock, Suga canadensis. This is one of the most popular conifers in the Wissahickon. It's one we see the most of here. Let's see if we can have a needle over here. Okay. So, if we look at the hemlock needles, we see that they are all on a flat plane. And then if we turn them over, we could see that they each have two little stripes going down them. And that's a really good way to identify hemlock trees. I don't see any cones on this one, but the cones of the hemlock tree are very tiny. They're only about this big, so that's another good way to identify a hemlock tree. This time of year, not a lot of our trees have fully leafed out yet. So it's important to know some other identifying factors of the trees. It's also really good to look on the ground around you to see if you can find any identifying features that have been left behind, like cones or nuts or leaves, seed pods, anything like that. So let's walk over here. Let's look at some of the leaves on the ground. So in the spring, we typically find oak and beech leaves that are left behind. Oak and beech both contain a bunch of tannins, which are not very palatable to the insects in our area. So they're typically decomposed by fungi in the summer after they fall. So these haven't been decomposed yet. We see on the ground this oak leaf. This is from a red oak, which we can see to my left over here, this beautiful big red oak over here. I know that this leaf came from this oak tree because I spent a long time studying trees, but if you haven't, you could take a picture of this leaf for iNaturalist, and you don't have to know the tree that it came from for this to still be a good observation. So you took a picture of this tree and uploaded it to iNaturalist, and then next week, I'm going to come identify it for you. So that's the pretty cool thing about iNaturalist. You don't have to know what you're looking at to make observations that are worthwhile and contribute a lot to science. Let's talk a little bit about this tree over here. This very tall tree to my right is the tulip poplar tree. It is not a tulip and it is not a poplar tree. It's actually in the magnolia family. And for that reason, it produces really beautiful orange flowers in the springtime. The leaves of the tulip poplar tree look a little bit like a cat face, so you can see little cat ears and a little cat smile in the leaves. Most of the year when you look up, you could see that the leftovers from the flowers are still up there, so that when they blow in the wind, it'll release the seeds to blow all over the forest. The tulip poplar tree typically grows very tall straight up before it branches out when it grows in a forest, so that's another good way to identify this tree. We see this tree pretty commonly in the Wissahickon and over most of Philadelphia. It is native to this area, and it's one of my favorites. Let's make our way down this way. I'd love to show you guys the American beech that's coming up. We're going to see some coming up on our right. So here we can see the smooth silver bark of the American beech. This tree is pretty much known for its very smooth silver bark. You can identify it very easily based off of that alone. I mentioned that beech trees are another tree that has left their leaf behind, and it doesn't decompose very easily. So this is what a beech leaf looks like. So I compare a picture of this leaf with a picture of this bark, and that's a really good observation of a beech tree. Beeches also get very spiny little nuts that the squirrels like to eat, but you can find the nut cases left behind laying on the ground sometimes. This beech tree has not leafed out yet. I want you guys to think about the bud structure of a tree like a fingerprint. It's very unique to the tree species. So when you look at it, you can tell what kind of tree it'll be. So if you look at this branch, this is also from an American beech, we can see that it has very pointy little leaf buds that are going to leaf out very soon. We can also see that they are alternate. So instead of going like this, they go like this. Which is an easy way to identify this tree. So if I was going to take a picture of this one for iNaturalist, I would make sure that I got a picture of this alternate branching pattern. And that'll help me to identify this tree later on. Beautiful rhododendron. Let's talk about this spruce. So when you look at this tree at a glance, you might think that this is also an American beech. But if you looked a little more closely at the bark, you might be able to see that there are some horizontal lenticels in the bark. And that's indicative of the birch family, Bucciarelli. This tree also doesn't have any leaves yet. The leaves of this tree also do look very similar to beech, so it's very important to find these horizontal lenticels in the tree to help you identify the sweet birch. If we looked at the ends of the branches up here on the birches, we would see that they have catkins hanging from them, which is sort of the birch equivalent to a flower. It's where their pollen comes from. So that's another good identifying feature of the birch. Maybe I'll put this one over here. This tree behind me is the American sycamore. Down at the bottom, it has very rough bark that you would think was typical of something more like an oak tree. But closer to the top, it starts to look like the bark is camouflaged. It has the American sycamore has a habit of exfoliating its bark away, meaning that it'll flake off as the tree gets closer to the top. So close to the top, you'll find patches of white and green, making this really beautiful camo-looking pattern up at the top. This tree doesn't have any low branches, but if we pulled one down and we looked at the buds of this tree, we would see that the leaf buds are a beautiful red color, and that's very typical of the American sycamore. That's another good way to identify this tree. Let's make our way back to the Kitchens Inn Bridge. Oh, here's another good one we could talk about. This is the box elder tree, Acer negundo. It's in the maple family. It's actually in the maple genus, Acer. And the leaves look a lot like poison ivy when you look at them. They're 3-part leaves with a red stem, but it's coming off of a tree, so I know that this is not poison ivy. When you put all 3 of these leaves together, you can see that typical maple leaf shape, and that's how I know that this is a box elder. Box elder trees also have a really warty looking appearance to them, usually. They often look gnarled and falling over, but usually those trees are also very healthy, so if you see a tree that looks like it might not be doing so good, but it has these 3-part leaves, it's probably a box elder and it's probably doing fine. So I want to thank you guys for watching this video and for participating in the City Nature Challenge this weekend. I really hope that you will put some trees up, and I hope that you will put up anything that you find. Any participation is better than no participation at all. So thank you guys for being a great audience and for participating.